All right, here we go. It's another edition of Talking Scheetz. I've been sitting in this chair waiting for my daughter to come down for quite a while. Some challenges putting your little girl to bed.
Yeah, she didn't want a nap. She wanted to listen to the podcast.
Well, there's a reason for that. Her favorite song next to Pink Pony Club
The Talking Scheetz themes
is this.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.
Thank you, Dan Davidson. Talking Scheetz. 9-month-old Leona, literally, we've got videos of her twerking, so she'll be listening to this when her mom's editing this podcast, and she'll be twerking, and she just loves it, right?
Yeah, she has started to dance to almost anything.
Yeah.
But it started with Pink Pony Club and the Talking Scheetz theme song. Now it's extended to like music in Tim Hortons commercials, just anything on a phone.
Grandpa singing Country Roads, she starts to bounce up and down.
She's at the age
Yeah.
where, what are we doing with the camera?
Sorry, I had to adjust it.
He had to adjust the okay, sorry. That's
So
all right.
sorry if you dropped. If you're watching us on YouTube, you got a little bit of a sudden drop.
Yeah. Producer Renato's a little handsy
It's not like
today.
we had 2 hours to figure this out while
No.
I was feeding the baby and getting her down. You two.
No, but then he was spending a lot of time, making sure that we weren't seeing up your skirt with the camera. So
one thing I didn't consider, we launched this podcast in January. It hasn't really been skirt weather.
Right.
And today I showed up in a little jean skirt, not really thinking much of it. But we put this podcast on YouTube if you're listening on audio.
Yeah.
And we had to be a little more careful about the camera angle, given the summer attire. But it's beautiful outside.
And being your father, thank you for watching out for my little girl.
Although, like we've talked about before, where our main audience is audio, we don't have a massive audience on YouTube yet.
Which we should.
Yeah.
Again, watch it on video, too. You can do that.
Yeah.
I know my sister Lori, yesterday, she came for a visit, and she was saying her and Warren were watching and listening to the video as they were driving, and she kept saying, Warren, don't look over. You're driving.
So please watch us on YouTube, but don't watch us on YouTube while you're driving. And maybe we should start showing a bit more skin. Maybe that's the key to getting some YouTube views.
And Lori said, how could you not watch the video with Anthony and James on?
Well, and that's the thing.
Right.
That one...
Like your mom, she said something that kind of hurt a little bit. She says, so I'm watching the beginning of the podcast, and she says, there you and Baillie are. And then when the first time you go to Anthony and James, she's like, oh my gosh, are they ever attractive? And I'm like, so
Yeah.
what are you saying?
About us.
We're not attractive?
Your husband and your daughter? Who everyone says looks like you? Come on.
But it was
yeah,
true. It was truthful. And talk about the response.
Well, the last episode crushed. Let's
Yeah.
just say that. In terms of numbers, in terms of comments, in terms of just feedback, people saying we loved them.
Yeah.
They were. We knew that we brought. When you bring someone with way more star power than you have,
Right.
onto the show,
You're taking a chance because then your wife or your mother might say that like you suck compared to them.
Yeah.
But it's worth taking that chance.
They have such star power, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes we don't. Like, we're immune to it a little bit because they're just like our friends and neighbors that are always walking around in the backyard.
I'm watching them mow their lawn. But by the way, the next day after the podcast, they had like this huge work bee. And I kind of feel like maybe it was something to do with me giving them a rough
bullied them.
time about their yard.
Yeah, you bullied them on the pod
Yeah.
into mowing their lawn.
All right. So this pod is worth it. I guess that's what I'm saying.
But we love Anthony and James.
and they will return.
I promise a part 2 is coming once
And
we
maybe
can.
a part 3.
Yeah, once we can track them down, they really are the best.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to that episode, and thank you for listening to this episode.
Exactly. And watch it as
Yeah.
well. Go to YouTube. I mean, again, it's funny because I assumed that YouTube would be the bigger one
Me
because
too.
a lot of people wouldn't be grabbing podcasts or they wouldn't not understand it, but that wouldn't be their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the podcast actual platforms are going very, very well in YouTube again. Maybe it is just that they don't want to see
I
you.
think
And
the other thing is, I know lots of podcasts are successful on YouTube, but our episodes are anywhere from half an hour to an hour long. That's a long time to sit down and watch something, where when you have it in your ears, you can do it while driving. That's when I mostly listen to podcasts or while exercising or like those kinds of things. And you can
Right.
start and stop it a lot more easily.
Right.
Where like if you're asking someone to sit down, especially in this ADHD economy where nobody has an attention span, we're asking them to sit down and watch. It is worth it. It is, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter where you listen.
I know you just work so hard on the video
Oh,
part. So.
yeah.
And we use video pieces for the Instagram and social media, and so it's all worth it.
Yeah.
But just kind of an interesting, learn as you go here. What are we, like 20, 21
This
episodes
is
in?
21.
21 episodes
That's
in.
crazy. And we haven't even taken a week off.
I know.
That's been great. Yeah.
Not yet. All right. Well, you know who's not taking a week off? The Edmonton Oilers. If you were watching right now, you'd see us I'm wearing my Leon Draisaitl. Again, he is my guy. Although they're all my guys now. I mean,
they always are. But
they're always
you
been
love
all
Leon.
my guys. But
yeah,
you know, I wish I had a Stuart Skinner jersey right now because I would wear it around town and
Yes.
go, nah.
Producer Renato was saying he's interested in investing in an Evan Bouchard jersey.
Right.
He's feeling like number
that
two.
would be another nah.
Yeah, number two needs some. He deserves some love in the jerseys. I'm wearing. I don't even your jersey.
Yeah, it's a number 10.
It's a number 10.
Ode to Sean Horkoff or Esa Tikkanen.
Or Derek Ryan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But the Oilers gave it to me in the year of 2010.
Yes,
so that's why I got it. It's got my name on it.
I did show up wearing my own jersey.
Yeah.
Which I love. I got for this playoff run specifically. I found one on eBay, and it's an old school vintage but kind of redone new version of a Paul Coffey jersey, which I love. I love the away jersey. It's white. Again, I should be wearing it. I left it in the bedroom where I fought for an hour to get the baby to sleep, and then I left my jersey in there, and I was like, I can't take that risk. I can't take that risk of going back in and getting the jersey, so I threw yours on. But
and this kid, like I said, she sleeps well at night. She'll go like, it's crazy how
last
much.
night, 14 and a half hours.
14 and a half hours sleep at night, but she does not sleep during the day.
No.
And when she does go down, it's like when we're at your house, it's like, seriously, I'm in the other room and I fart and she wakes up.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous how easily she is awoken. So the point is you could never have gone in there and gotten that jersey ever.
I really didn't want to be that like walking on eggshells parent, and I think for the most part we aren't, but when that baby naps, everything has to shut down because her nap she's not a great napper. And so when she goes down, and she's such a light sleeper because she has so much FOMO. It's like the second she hears something, she's like, oh, I better go party. I better go see what's going on immediately. So she's hopefully, fingers crossed, upstairs napping right now with my Paul Coffey jersey.
I told you guys the day she was born, sleep train is the only way, but whatever. You wouldn't listen to me.
She's like the opposite.
I'm being very sarcastic. I'm like, I love the way she's living. She like last night we I think we touched base at about 11:30 with you guys, and she was still going strong. And then again, she sleeps till noon. So.
Well, selfishly, right now with the Oilers schedule and everything that's going on, a late night baby has been such a blessing for us because bedtime in the middle of the game. It just wouldn't work.
Right.
Like I can't be taking a half an hour out of the game time, or Renato can't be. We can't be doing that.
Renato definitely wouldn't.
No, he definitely wouldn't.
Because we talk about him being deadbeat Oiler dad.
I think most parents are.
I become deadbeat Oiler grandpa. Like when the game is on, like all that matters to me when the game is not on is that little girl. All that matters to me when that game is on is not that little girl. I feel very, very badly, but because she'll be looking at me because I'm just kind of her go-to.
She wants
stupidity.
To play.
She loves stupid grandpa, right?
Yeah.
And so she'd be looking at me, and I'm like, not now, dear. The Oilers are on a power play.
I think that everybody's going to have quite a rude awakening next season when I'm working the games.
Yeah.
I'm back at work, and I'm there. And someone's going to have to watch my child, and it's not going to be me. So
we know exactly who it's going to be, don't we, Renato? It's going to be a grandma.
No, deadbeat Oiler dad has maximum 7 games left, and then he has to be on shift.
Locked in.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be. So I'll give him this run. I'll put the baby. I'll do the diapers in between periods and things like that. But after that, nope.
All right. Well, we're really all very excited about, of course, the upcoming Stanley Cup Finals Revenge Tour. This is the way it had to be. They have to play Florida, and they have to beat Florida.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to have to be. You guys went to the watch party for game number 5, and Leona went and loved it, and it was just great.
It was kind of like a little bit of a test. We've been watching a lot of games at home because it's just easier, right? Like you have the baby and bringing all her stuff. But I was like, you know what? No, we have access to the watch party. It's so much fun. All my coworkers and stuff are there. I'm like, no, we have to go out and bring her to the watch party, see how it goes. It couldn't have went better, which was so relieved by. She had so much fun, and everyone around was like so welcoming and so excited to have a baby there. And she kept her baby headphones on, which was a miracle. Which
I used to think were ridiculous, but again, now that I'm a grandpa, I'm okay. I get it. It was loud there too.
It was so loud. Like the fans were loud. The horns were loud. It's not even like when the game's on. It's more so like the goals. When it erupts in Rogers Place, she just gets scared. Like she's a baby, and you don't want that. So she keeps her little pink headphones on, and it was so much fun. after we won, she was dancing and having an amazing time. We got this really great video of her. She loves Pink Pony Club. She loved it before it was cool.
Right.
She
For
loved
the record.
it. She loved it before it was the Oilers song.
Right.
She's been a Pink Pony Club fan for 9 months. And we got this really cute video of her dancing around once we won the series over Dallas and are the Western Conference champs for the second year in a row. It's like she knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? If your mom was here, she'd fact check me on this, but I'm positive you were like 2 months old when we took you to your first Oiler game. And we were up in the upper of Rexall Place, and we were up in the upper area, and your mom had you in one of those little carriers, and there was no ear protection back then, but you dealt with it, and you were 2 months old, and it worked. I believe, and again, to each their own, but if you expose children to things, they will naturally embrace it and react. If you don't, they're never gonna be able to react or understand or get used to those situations. So that's it. I mean, some people, like I say, but anyway.
I think that
I wanted her at a game much earlier than this. So.
I think that we maybe exposed her to too much too soon because now she won't sleep. She's like, I know that there's stuff going on and I want to see it.
Yeah, you think you can put me to bed right now?
We brought her to the PWHL game when she was much younger.
Fair.
And that was easy too because she was in the carrier. Again, sometimes it's easier when they're really little. Like now,
it's going to get more difficult.
She is ripping. Like she wants to move. She wants to see things. She doesn't really like to just sit anymore.
She wants to push. She points like, I want to go there.
Yeah, but luckily the watch party had so much going on that she was like, this is so much fun.
So while you guys were at the watch party, I was hosting an event I've done for many years called Wine and Words for the Family Literacy a group, and it's an unbelievable charity because there are people. Kim Chung, who's a good friend of mine, who's from Thorsby, and she's their executive director. She basically did a thing, and she used some kind of symbols and things like that to spell out something, and she made everybody in the crowd basically try to figure it out. And the point was, imagine this is how a lot of people's lives are if they can't read or write, right? And there's so many people that can't, and it's such a barrier to your life if you can't read or write, especially read, obviously, in a huge way. So anyway, it was a very successful event. Jim Cuddy, he's just one of the best artists that's ever, come from Canada, and he was there performing, and they raised thousands of dollars, and it was lots of fun. But it was during the game, so we were playing the game in between all of the different things we were hosting, and it was at the JW Marriott. So right outside was the moss pit, so we could hear them partying and rocking on until, of course, there was a wind warning and they had to evacuate. Yeah. But it went well, and I just got to do a shout out to that organization and all the great things that they do, and we had Game 5 that way. It was different, but again, what do? You have this event you've planned all year long, but then this Oiler game, and I mean the crowd, there might have been some people there that didn't care, but like 95% of the people really cared about that hockey
the
game.
MC made sure that everybody cared about the hockey game.
Ooh, yeah. He might have. He might have.
I'm impressed that you were able to focus at all on anything other than what was going on.
Yeah, your mom said it wasn't my best MC job, but then probably fair enough. I might have been a little bit preoccupied, but it still all worked, and it was awesome.
And what a game!
Yeah, and obviously the Stanley Cup Finals now. I had booked. Should I tell everybody my secret? Yeah, I mean it's not a secret.
This is your big secret. Okay.
This is my flight hack.
Okay,
this is my flight hack.
Don't gatekeep.
What's that mean?
Like gatekeep, people say no gatekeeping, which means like if you have a secret or something you don't want other people to do, then you're gatekeeping it. But we don't gatekeep on this podcast.
Okay, we're not gatekeeping. No. You are all family and friends to us.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spell it out on YouTube, just for the YouTube people.
Oh, to get people to tune in. This is like a secret code.
No. Basically what happens is, and maybe a lot of people probably know this, but when you book a flight with any of the airlines, you have 24 hours to cancel. Exactly 24 hours to cancel. So if you're like me and you're thinking, hey, maybe I'd like to go to Florida for games 3 and 4 of the series, if the Oilers happen to win this game tonight, by the time they win this game tonight, all of those flights will be gone. You remember last year, the flights to Florida were all like literally Anthony, who was on the show, his dad Eugene, which we'll talk about next episode there on. But they had
James's dad, but yes.
James's dad, sorry. Yeah. They had to fly through China to get to Florida.
Basically, yeah. He was flying all around the world.
It was ridiculous, right? So I'm like, okay, I think that maybe we should go. I've talked, again, not to get political, I talked about not wanting to go to the United States now for, I think, obvious reasons. But I'm like thinking for my hockey team, you know what? I'd maybe this is one good excuse to do it, right? And so I booked the flights in case the Oilers would win. Producer Renato said, don't, you're cursing the Oilers. Take that, Renato, because I wasn't. So I booked these sweet flights. We have WestJet points, and we're able to basically fly for free. That was my whole way to...
I feel like you always say that, but at some point those points got to run out.
Sometimes you got to pay. And so long story short, I had him. Oilers win. Here we go. Kara, we're going to go to Florida. And Kara's like, no, we're not. And she gave me her reasons, and I thought they were reasonably valid. So we're not going to Florida.
There you go.
She's like, no, you're not going to the United States right now, and I'm not going with you.
She's worried. She was like,
she was genuinely worried. She was worried. She says, I can't trust you because of the person you are. I said, I'm just taking a Canadian flag with me. She says, we're not going.
Between the Oilers and your pride for the hockey team
and my country
and your pride for your country right now, you are a little bit dangerous.
It's
like
called unhinged.
Yeah, yes. I don't know that we want to unleash you in Fort Lauderdale with that energy. I think that is fair.
I'd be unhinged there probably, just slightly, right? And she says, no, let's not go. We're going to watch at home. So within the 24 hours, I canceled these 2 flights, and somebody else probably logged on and went, oh my God, I can't believe these are still available. And
hey, you gave a gift.
That's
somebody who probably wouldn't get detained at the border.
She's like, we'll wind up in El Salvador. I'm like, no, we won't. She says, you don't know that for sure, because then people at Wine and Words were telling her the stories, and they weren't just hearsay. They were legitimate stories of people's phones being, people going through their phones, and so it's happening. In all seriousness, it is legitimately happening. And so she's like, we're not going. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't want to make that stop us from having this experience, but it stopped us from having this experience.
Yeah. I mean, at the time of this recording this, it is my mother, your wife, Karen's birthday. Yeah. And her gift was just not going to Florida.
Exactly. But somebody in the family is going to Game 7. We managed to get a couple of tickets. The cheapest ones in the house. Because they're not cheap right now.
They were not cheap.
The cheapest ones. But for Game 7, we got a couple of tickets between all of the family. And now we got to figure out if there is a Game 7. I hope the Oilers win this thing in 4. But if they win it in 4 and I could have been there, that would really kill me. But anyway.
I would take that. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Win it in 4, guys. Like, I don't care. But if there happens to be a Game 7, there's all this. You talk about hearsay. At first, it was like they were our tickets.
Well,
and now,
who got the tickets?
Well, Baillie helped us get the tickets, but it sounded like they were our tickets. But now, I think as we get closer to a Game 7 possibility, they're going to become less and less Dad's tickets. Like, I have a feeling. Carter and
there was some like drama for sure that went down with it. We're going to talk about Taylor Swift a little later, but the Eras tour where friends, because you had to buy tickets so far in advance, friends would purchase tickets, and then by the time the concert came around, they had given the tickets to other people. If they're not in your Ticketmaster wallet, I think
they're not.
Then I think that they're not your tickets yet.
Yeah,
I know. You haven't paid anyone.
I'm starting to fear that I'm going to have to start to be extra nice to some people.
You know what? You claim them. Let's go on record. They'll be your tickets. They'll be your tickets. I am currently on maternity leave. We are in no position to be buying Game 7 tickets. But you're right. The closer it gets, the more tempting it will be.
Nobody's in position to buy these tickets right now. But you're finding a way. I went to 2 games in the final last year, and so I kind of thought, okay, been there, done that. But if there's a Game 7, or I could have gone to Florida. But I get it. I understand. I was the one that said I wasn't going. But then it happens, and you're like, Yeah. All right. Okay, let's talk about producer Renato and something that he was recently diagnosed with.
Yes. Among many other things.
Yeah, I was going to say. Let's just talk about this specific one because we don't have time for the rest.
We are going to bed one night, and he's like, man, my eye is really itchy. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of itchy. And I'm looking at him, and it's pretty red. And I'm like, you're not going to give me pink eye, and you're certainly not going to give this baby pink eye. Like, get out of here. But the next morning, he goes to see the eye doctor, and it's getting worse. It's swollen and quite red. And he was diagnosed with a corneal ulcer.
We thought it was Pink Eye Pony Club, but it wasn't. He gets diagnosed with this cornea ulcer, which I had never heard of before. Is that when your eyes worry so much you get an ulcer?
It's pretty serious. I mean, if anybody's gonna worry so much that their eyes start to deteriorate, it's gonna be that guy.
Right.
But it's basically just like a really, really bad scratch or abrasion on the front of your eye. Like,
Okay.
pretty serious stuff, turns
Right,
out. And
right.
he called me and he's like, I have a corneal ulcer. I said, well, it's not pink eye, so it's not contagious. I was like, this baby can't get pink eye. We didn't think it was contagious.
Yeah.
However, he's been taking his antibiotic drops. It's been getting better. He can't wear contacts yet, but his vision is getting better. He's wearing his glasses.
It's not even almost worthy to bring it up in the podcast. It's not that big a deal.
No.
But here's why it is. Because what just recently happened to your French bulldog? What did she get diagnosed with?
We've talked about corn cob gate on prior episodes where Honey swallowed a corn cob and everything worked out.
Yeah,
thank
you guys
goodness.
are single-handedly putting a veterinarian's children through university, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what happens?
She wakes up one day with a red, really watery, the exact same
Is
look
it the same
in her
side?
eye.
Is it the same side?
Yes. And I'm like, what is going on here? So we try some drops that we have at home. They don't work. We end up taking her to the vet for the second consecutive week. And when the veterinarian is looking in her eye, turns to me and says, she has a corneal ulcer. You're kidding me. And he's looking at me like, that's not funny. Like, that's your poor puppy and our poor puppy for sure. But what are the chances of this?
Yeah.
And so I explained to the veterinarian, I said, my husband just had a corneal ulcer like 2 weeks ago. Is this could it be contagious? He's like, no. Like, what are you talking about? He didn't care at all about the connection. But to me, it was crazy.
It is crazy.
So we pay for the very expensive eye drops for Sweet Honey, bring them home. I look at Renato's and I look at Honey's, the exact same drops.
Ladies and gentlemen.
They could be sharing eye drops. But the last 2 days since we've been using the drops for Honey, it's been getting a lot better.
Yeah.
So they're all healing. I had never heard the words corneal ulcer.
No, but that now have a husband and a dog that both have
In
it
a
at
month.
the same time.
It's very weird.
That is so funny.
It's very weird. So
Yeah.
everyone protect your eyes. They think that Renato might have got his when doing yard work outside.
Right.
So
well, and Honey, you know what? She's always outside doing
Yeah.
things, right?
he said, do you have like a cat at home? Because cats can give you corneal ulcers, like they scratch you. I said, no, just a baby. She could have done it
Very
too.
possible.
Yeah, she's kind of handsy.
And if I had to choose two people in that family that had this, I'm glad it's those two and not you two, right? So
At least not the baby, but Honey's tough as nails.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the same for the producer, but he's been okay. He's been okay. He's doing his best. But everyone's vision is gonna be okay. It could have been a lot worse.
right.
But they're all on the Turperdex. I can't remember, but they're on some kind of the same eye drops. We do them 3 times a day, both Honey and Renato.
Ermagerd. It's
Turperdex.
Turperdex. That one's a shout out to nephew Brandon. Ermagerd. Okay, so that's the thing. Is there anybody on the world they say sometimes as you get you have a pet long enough, you start to look like it.
Yeah,
Right.
but I don't know the same ailments.
Yeah, that is like so funny. That is so funny. Okay. T Swift.
Yes.
Now, I remember hearing there was this big story that her record company, I think it was Big Machine Records. I think.
Yes.
Big Machine Records somehow got a hold of her catalog or
When-
purchased it.
So when she first signed on as an artist,
Right.
she was super young, 15 years old.
Yeah.
She, like it was in her contract that
Yeah.
they would own
Right.
the masters to her records, which
Right.
again, you're 15 years old.
Oh my gosh.
You're just excited to be signing anything.
You're 55 years old.
yeah.
They it's well known that these record companies take advantage of these situations
own a
they've
lot
got
of the
they've got
music.
all of the leverage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And again, if you're Taylor Swift or her family at that time,
Yeah.
who can predict what these masters are going to be worth one
Right,
day? Like you
right.
could have never predicted being that big of a star.
No.
So she's just like, I'm happy to be here. I've made it. I'm not going to think about this
Right.
for now.
Right.
And it became a huge ordeal. And eventually her masters were purchased by somebody that she did not, because once the record company owns them, anybody can buy them.
Right.
Essentially.
There's Michael Jackson's music was bought and like
Yeah,
there's
there's
Elvis
like a
Presley's
lot of
music I think was bought.
legal terms and jargon that is above my head for sure.
Sure.
But I speak in Swiftie terms only.
Yeah.
And eventually someone named Scooter Braun, who, not to get if we're gonna get political, Scooter Braun is enemy number 1.
All right.
It's not actually political, but
Yeah.
purchased her masters.
Never trust a guy named Scooter.
Exactly. And you
Right.
should see his face.
Right.
You look at him, you're like, absolutely
punchable?
not. Very much.
Okay.
Very much so.
All right.
Scooter Braun ends up owning Taylor Swift's masters to her music. So she doesn't actually own the music that she created.
So what does she do?
She does something that has never been done before and was actually suggested on Twitter by Kelly Clarkson. So shout out to Kelly. I love Kelly Clarkson. Shout out to Kelly Clarkson for that. She tweets, "Hey, Taylor Swift, have you considered re-recording your music to devalue the version that this evil man owns?" And she's like, she might have had the idea on her own, but Kelly Clarkson gave her some confidence. She said, "Okay, I'm going to re-record my albums," which is something, again, that has never been done before and needs a very specific fan base for people to care about. Because you're creating the same music
just
again.
Imagine if we just re-recorded this podcast and released it the next week.
The Scheetz heads might not care as much as the Swifties.
It might just be a Scheetz head by then. Okay.
So
yes.
she went album by album, not even in order, but she's so strategic about what she does.
Yeah.
Releasing albums and re-recording her music, which has been really fun because you get to hear how her voice has evolved and like
how many changes? Yeah.
Very subtle changes.
Right.
Because she wants her fans to listen to this music instead of the old music, right? So it wasn't like completely redone. But part of the re-records was also releasing vault tracks, which was going back. Taylor Swift, as we know, is an amazing songwriter, writes so many songs.
Yeah.
So that included writing songs, re-recording songs that she had written in that era that were never released.
Okay.
So on top of the re-recorded albums, there were vault tracks, which was my favorite part, which was hearing new songs from that era but her being sung by her now. Anyway, so all of this is to say she goes through and releases these new eras called Taylor's versions, and fans stop listening to the old versions and they only listen to Taylor's version, which
makes Scooter sad.
Well, it makes Scooter a bad businessman in a way.
Uh-huh.
And as part of that, as she's releasing these new Taylor's version, she's kind of reinforcing the eras of her career, which wasn't as much of a thing until the Eras tour. And so as part of the re-records, she's really focusing on these very specific releases. And then the Eras tour became the highest grossing, most incredible tour of all time, made billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. In that time, Scooter was like, oh crap, that's not ideal.
Yeah.
He ends up selling the masters to somebody else who now, Taylor Swift, as of this week, has purchased them back.
She's got her own music back.
Yeah, which,
Do we know what she paid?
$360 million?
Oh.
I think it was.
Chump change. No big deal.
It wasn't. I think it was $360 million, which sounds insane, but I was like, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
It's not bad. But that's because she devalued her own music by releasing the other versions and now has the original versions back. And a lot of it, as Taylor is nothing if not methodical and like a little bit shady. She did this all to prove a point and to inspire young artists to care about what they're signing and to really advocate for themselves. Yeah, just incredible stuff. And I'm so happy because I missed the original versions, I will say. Like, I was listening to Taylor's version. I was not being a traitor. But when you listen to something like Fearless, her second album, when she recorded it, it's just like you can tell it's young Taylor singing it, and I missed that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I never really paid attention to the re-releases, but yeah, there would be, especially the stuff that I love, which is the original, the OG country stuff.
Yeah.
For example, and
so Taylor Swift debut, her first album hasn't. She's re-recorded it, but it hasn't come out yet. And she says, as a promise to the fans, even though she doesn't need to re-release it now, she's going to. So that will be super fun. And the vault tracks from there, we're gonna get country Taylor again, right? Like these old songs that she's written in that time when she was a teenager, sung by her now. So that'll be really, really cool.
Okay, I'm into that. Okay, well that was a big news story this week. All right.
I hope I explained it okay. There's a lot of layers to it, but
I think you did. No, I think you did.
We are very happy for Taylor Swift this week.
Then I'm happy for her. Do we know where Scooter is now?
Last I heard, he was divorced, and he's probably still very rich. That's the thing. He's probably still very rich, but Taylor got the last laugh.
Probably, divorced and listening to Taylor's like angry love songs.
Yes, he's listening to Reputation right now. Her Reputation era. That's the thing. Even Scooter Braun has to know that she's got hits.
She's got hits. Okay. Yeah. You know who else has hits? A Londonderry Dodge, the official vehicle sponsor of the Talking Scheetz podcast. Another great week just driving around with that Ram. I was mowing the lawn yesterday, and your mom was leaving to go pick up flowers or something, and she took off in the Dodge Ram out of the yard with the 2 Oiler flags on it, and I'm just like, this just beautiful black Ram truck, and she just sped away, and I'm like, God, that woman is sexy in that truck.
It is a beautiful truck.
Is there anything sexier than a woman of middle age who's now a grandma who's like ripping out of the yard in a Dodge Ram? I don't think so.
She's great at driving and parking that truck.
She is.
Yeah.
She keeps the steering wheel a little bit higher. It's just
she's
kind of weird.
She's very proper about it. 10 and 2.
I guess that part's kind of weird, but anyway, sexy truck, sexy woman. Yeah, you can get one of those 2 things at Londonderry Dodge.
Yeah, my mom is not for sale at Londonderry Dodge.
But if you have a sexy woman, or you are a sexy woman, I'm just saying the Dodge Ram is the truck for you.
There you go. If you're looking for something
from Londonderry Dodge,
a little smaller, if you can't park a Dodge Ram, which I'm here to admit that I probably wouldn't be great at,
no,
the Jeep Compass Trailhawk is a perfect small mid-size SUV.
Yeah. And
something that we learned about it, we are learning new things about this car every single time that we drive it. Like there's so many cool features. I left Renato with not enough gas. Well, enough gas to get to a gas station.
Sounds like a female thing, yeah.
I don't think it's a female thing. I think it's a lazy thing that I did.
Okay.
He had enough to get to a gas station, but that's about it. Usually I'm like, oh, he'll be fine. He gets into the house and says, you didn't leave me with enough gas. And he's looking at his phone. And I'm like,
what?
So sorry. What do you mean? I was waiting for that argument when he went to drive. It sends you a text from the Apple CarPlay when your fuel is low. Or not a text, a notification. You got a notification on his phone saying that I had screwed him over with the gas levels. So that's crazy. The other night, we're driving home from your house, and he's like, hey, look what I learned today. Whoop. He rips open the roof. The entire roof is a sunroof on this new model that we got.
And you guys didn't know?
We had no idea. That's how much, like, it's beautiful. To be fair, we had just recently switched out from the other one. The white one did not.
You can't keep up with the...
Yes, there's too many features.
The options on these vehicles.
Yes, but the sunroof, I'm a big sunroof person, and it is beautiful for a May summer day.
Well, you know what? Again, you can get one of these vehicles, whether it's Trailhawk, whether it's Ram, whether it's a classic Jeep Wrangler, the Cherokee we've had a chance to drive. All of these different vehicles. I got a bunch of really cool cars, too. Again, Londonderry Dodge. Mitch and Jamie and the entire staff there. Tell them Talking Scheetz sent you, okay? Let them know that you heard about it this way.
Let them know that Talking Scheetz said that Dodge Rams are for sexy ladies.
They are. I've never seen a Dodge Ram driven by a non-sexy woman, okay?
All right.
Write that down.
Some unsexy men for sure.
Your mom doesn't wear a ball cap enough. Like, I think
that... Wow, we're really getting deep here.
Okay, well, that would be the only thing that would add to it, right?
I think that she has such... big hair. It wouldn't fit well on her head.
Well, she's got a pretty big head, too.
So do we.
Well,
we all do.
I know. That's right. And it's her birthday today when we recorded this. May 31st, 1971 was the best day of my life when I think about it. Because, man, without her, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Your brother wouldn't be here, for better or worse.
None of this
my
would
granddaughter
be here.
wouldn't be here. My beautiful son-in-law, executive producer, Renato, wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Leslie, I better say something about her because she'll get upset. My daughter-in-law and just everything that I have is because of the day that she was born, and she's made all of that stuff happen. So I still haven't got her a birthday gift.
I thought your gift was not getting detained at the border on the way to Florida.
That was it. That was it.
Mom has been getting a lot of love on the podcast lately.
Yes.
She got the Mother's Day. We talked about her, Anthony and James.
Just said she's the greatest person on the planet. Which
and now it's her birthday. So we're 3 for 3.
Yeah.
And it's still not near what she deserves, you know?
Yeah.
Like she still doesn't,
her bucket still needs to be filled with more.
She still doesn't get enough credit, even though we've been giving her credit for 3 episodes in a row.
People are like, okay, God, tell us this Mother Teresa woman, what's going on? Why didn't she become Pope?
You don't think she would have done a great job?
As Pope?
Yeah.
But she'd have had to change her name. What would she have changed it to? Because he changed it to Leo.
But we do call her
Bob.
We call her Care.
Yeah, but Pope Care wouldn't have worked. She would have needed like Pope.
I think she'd just be Pope Care.
Like Pope Care?
Yeah.
Because Elizabeth is just too,
Yeah, no. She could be Pope Care.
Yeah.
And that's nice because the Pope cares.
Yeah.
She would as Pope.
Do you want to talk about the gift that you got her real quick? Can you?
I thought about...
Because it's such a funny gift.
This was the brainchild of Carter and Leslie. We just helped out with some of it. Yeah. But Leslie had seen it on TikTok. And essentially, is the game of Guess Who.
Yeah.
but you replace the characters in
So
Guess
how many,
Who.
50 or something? Or?
Yeah, there's 25.
Oh, 25.
You replace the characters from Guess Who with people in your life, like pictures of people in your life.
And we're not talking about like
Well,
brothers, sisters,
so-
aunts, uncles.
So that's what they did on TikTok. Was it was like close family, and you
Yeah.
played like the guessing questions. So then you're like, oh, did they come to Christmas? And those are like your hints. But we took it a step further, and again, this was my brother and my sister-in-law. They crushed this. We handpicked and selected
the most obscure
people in her life.
People that have touched her life
Do you think that
in the
anybody,
smallest way.
Do you think that anybody on that board is listening to this podcast?
Definitely.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I think that if you're wondering if you're on that board, you probably are.
If you barely know her.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're close
barely
to
know
us,
her, you haven't talked to her in 30 years.
Yeah.
Right?
So-
or you're a eccentric person with a wild haircut.
Well, we needed people with defined features so
you
that
nailed
she
it.
could ask questions. But yeah, they did an amazing job picking and finding photos of these random people that have been in our lives in some capacity. And like, it's important to say that like mom's favorite pastime is just like
Yeah.
talking about people, like
Yeah.
not even gossiping. She just like
Yeah. No, she's not a gossip.
she knows so much about everyone. Like
Yeah.
she remembers so many small details
Yeah.
about every person she's ever met, which is an
Yeah.
amazing quality.
Yeah.
But is also perfect for this game.
So they played it once before the podcast began.
Yeah, and we were crying.
And because the first question was, have they had work done?
Yes. Which it was a great question. Like, do you think that they've had Botox at some point? And it really narrowed it down.
It did. It
Yeah.
did. Everybody with breast enhancements and Botox were the ones that stayed up, I guess, not down.
Yeah,
right?
if you're thinking about it, yeah, it was an incredible. What do you buy your mom at this point? You know,
Right.
you have to really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Guess Who.
Guess
the
Who?
obscure people in your life version.
Yes.
It is like, I can't imagine how much work it was, but
They really, they were cutting, they were laminating, they were doing everything. Happy
Yeah.
birthday to Kara. It's a perfect gift.
all right. Also, happy birthday to Devon. 75th anniversary of Devon. Right
I was
after
like, who's Devon?
right after this
The town.
the town of Devon, is it a town?
Yes.
I don't think it's a city yet.
No.
Anyway, again, we moved there in 1992 when we first got married. Karen was working at the hospital. It was a natural place. I was kind of working at the radio station. So Devon was where we went. We bought number 38 Pipestone Drive for $80,000 and
Which
thought to
is
ourselves,
crazy.
we thought to ourselves, $80,000. And it was like a 25 or 30-year mortgage, and we still wouldn't have had it paid off, like, because interest rates were like 10% at the time.
Yeah, it was high.
Interest rates were 10%. So we still kind of paid the same amount every month for a mortgage. It was just, it's not principal and like it is now.
An $80,000 house.
And $80,000, you can't barely get a vehicle except at Londonderry Dodge.
Yes.
You can. But yeah, so long story short, it's always been near and dear to our heart. You went to school there, graduated there. Your brother did as well. Devon is just always going to be home to us.
I
So,
think it's such a hidden gem of a place. Like
Well-
to be in a small little quaint town on the river valley, the location
Right.
of Devon is stunning.
and the fun fact about it is, you guys didn't know this, but Devon was the first model town in Canada. So basically, most other towns started with a post office along a railroad.
Mhm.
And they'd say, okay, let's put a town here and let's just start building it, and people would kind of move in slowly but surely. In Devon's case, in 1947, in February, they struck oil at Leduc No. 1, which changed our entire country forever, because that was the first oil that was found in our country. And they said, hey, we probably are going to need a town here. So they modeled a town, they built it, they designed it, and in a short time, they had 100 homes, they had medical facilities, they had a grocery store, and it was all built. So it didn't actually, it has grown a lot over the years, but initially, it went from nothing to a town.
Yeah, like they built it, they prefabbed it
Basically.
for people.
Basically, and your grandma, Karen's mom, Nadia, says she remembered being 9 years old, and she said, we all got to go visit this new town that they had built. Like it's a crazy
I had no
concept.
idea. I went to school again in Devon for my whole life. And
Crazy concept.
Yeah.
So celebrating their 75th anniversary tonight, I'll be hosting it and looking forward to that. And again, like your mom, Devon, again, these things in your life, you make these decisions, or these decisions are made for you, and you go, well, man, Devon was great. Then we moved out to an acreage, and the point is that a lot of our life, And the success of it was because of where we chose to live. And I know we would have been fine if we would have stayed in Thorsby or wherever, but it just was the best move for us, and we love Devon.
We do. Every time we go back, we're back there a lot. It's a very, very nice little town.
Shout out to Devon.
Happy birthday, Care. Happy birthday, Devon.
Let's go Oilers.
Let's go Oilers. I was just going to say, do you have any, how are you feeling going into it? Just knowing how everything went last year.
Last year I wasn't sure, obviously. I feel more confident this year. I think this is just the time. I think that I was telling producer Renato that obviously the Florida Panthers are going to have an urge and a need to win 2 in a row because that's not done very much. But the urge and the need to win that first one from this hockey team, I think, is going to overpower them and that, because it's our time, it's our situation. And the one fun fact, not to get too far into the weeds, but this is the 3rd time since expansion has happened in the NHL that teams will play 2 consecutive years.
A rematch.
The first time it was in 83 and 84. The Edmonton Oilers, led by Wayne Gretzky, lost the first year, played the Islanders the second year and won. In 2008 and 2009, a guy named Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins played the Detroit Red Wings, lost the first year. Sidney Crosby won the second year with his team. This is lining up for Florida to win last year, and a guy named Connor and a guy named Leon to potentially win this year. And I want to see it for you guys, my kids, my family, and I'd like to see. I was kind of half joking with somebody at this Wine and Words thing. I said I'd like if they could win one more Stanley Cup before I die, that would be amazing, and it would be amazing. Like, it just would. That's all I need. That's all I'm asking for.
You say that now. Before the playoffs even started, I predicted a Carolina Hurricanes and Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup Final. I thought that I would be healing some inner 2006 trauma.
Right.
Turns out I'm healing trauma from last year again. And
this makes way more sense.
We're like faced with this PTSD. It's like, well, you have to get over it now.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be different. And I feel like for me, last year I was super pregnant at this time.
And working with the team.
and on the team. And now, looking back, I was like, oh, it would have been awesome if they had won when I was pregnant. But now I'm like, no, they had to wait one more year.
Right.
And now we get to celebrate with Leona and the Pink Pony Club. And it just feels even more special.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Let's go Oilers.
Wednesday night, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm happy to have this small break.
Yeah. I'm happy this is over because I got to pee.
I could tell you were ready to press that button. I was like, oh wow, he's done with me today. Oh, he's got to pee.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube as well.
Hopefully you didn't see up my skirt.
You got that right.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.